Congratulations on a spectacular career, a legend in the Bruins uniform. My first question is, press conferences, I know they're not really a comfortable setting for you, but you seem pretty calm and poised and at ease with your decision. Listen to you speak this morning.
Yeah, I am. You know, I think I've thought this through a lot. I've talked to my family, my wife, and obviously, like, for me, like, I've always tried to listen to my heart and to my instincts a lot throughout my life, and I felt like this time is no different. You know, like, I wish I could, keep going. Obviously, there's a side of me that is going to miss it, but then on the other side, like, I know it was the right time. For the body, for myself, but also for my family.
Having talked to a handful of players of your stature that have retired from the National Hockey League, and they talked about, similar to what you spoke about in the press conference, the grind, both mental and physical, to prepare yourself to play another season in the National Hockey League and to continue to play at a high level. Can you kind of expand on that grind and what's that like? And some players said, hey, I had to start taking different angles on the puck because I couldn't do what I used to be able to do, but I still wanted to play at that high level.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, it definitely takes its toll on you, right? Like, over time, like the travel, the schedule, the amount of games, the amount of practices, exhibition games and whatnot, and also, like, over the summer, like now, it's not like you have 2 months completely off and you go right back at it. Obviously, you add that the very demanding off-ice workouts and whatnot. So yeah, over time, it adds on and adds up, and it's like. But I wouldn't change it for the world. It's something very special. I think you always want to make sure you go through that grind and that adversity and that challenge to become a better player and work on things and whatnot. So it's been a fun ride.
Yeah, I'm not sure fans understand because I don't get to see it on a daily basis, but the practice habits, everybody raves about the way you practice, and that's what the great players do. They practice as if it was game conditions, and that is all part of that grind, and I think that's part of the legacy that you have left with this Bruins franchise, is that's how you approached it, and you made other players better because of that.
Yeah, no, and I think you do practice like you play, right? And I think as a team as well, like, if you're not used to battling and to competing in practice, then you get into games and you have that deer in the headlight type of look. So you're surprised. So I think, like, it is a habit, I guess. But I've learned from so many guys. A guy like Z, where he would probably play harder in practice than in games. That it would make it easier for myself and the rest of the guys to follow. So and even before Z, there's guys like Martin Lapointe that kind of taught me that. So it's something that I think as a pro you need to do. And I think, like, if you want to last for a long time in this league, you need to make sure you're you practice like you play, and you make sure you stay on top of your game, and you make sure you work on things that you need to work on.
Let's go back a little bit and talk about the process, and you mentioned it in the press conference. It probably started a year ago, when you were deciding, do I come back for another year? You took the 1-year deal. So you're already in that process of, it's going to be inevitable. I'm going to retire at some point, and it's in the very near future. How difficult is it? And you guys had a special season, but it still had to be challenging. Not that you had one foot out the door, but that you're thinking about it. And then the compartmentalization to make sure that you're on top of your game every day. Talk a little bit about the challenges that maybe you dealt with during the regular season, postseason.
Yeah, no, I think there's, at times there was, thoughts in your heads, and then there was, signs, I guess, that would come to me, like, there's, as I call that before, like the dog days of February when it's dark out and, it's game 60 and, it's we talk about the grind, like it's a grind and you're going through a lot. Obviously, I've always wanted to be thankful and be grateful for everything that was able to do, but then, like, you talk about motivation. I think it was important for me as a captain to always have that, and always making sure that I was ready for the games and for the practices. So eventually, like, it just becomes a lot, and then that it's going to be time soon. So I think it was just more a matter of realizing and seeing the signs and just reading them, and But yeah, I think last year I enjoyed myself so much. It was a special year, as you said, and one of the most fun I've had, you know,
sure.
playing hockey. So thankful for that. Unfortunate the way that it ended, obviously, but as you take a step back and you're able to look at the big picture, then it makes you realize how fortunate I was to play for 20 years and to experience so many great things.
Yeah, and consistency and excellence in that consistency for 2 decades. Two last things. One is, you know, the game has evolved in those 20 years from where it was when you stepped down on the ice when you were 18 to where it was last year at age 37. And, you know, we raved about your ability to evolve not only with the game, but actually be ahead of the game, and how your offense went to a different level in the second half of your career than it maybe was in the first part, yet the game was changing. You know, how did you do that? How were you able to change what you did, yet still stay the same in terms of, was it your hockey IQ that allowed you to do that, or what was it?
I think I was always trying to push my limits, to be honest with you. Like throughout my career, I was never really satisfied with where I was, where my game was. I always knew I had some things to work on and things to be better at. And yeah, and sometimes it was just like the way that it was with the team as well. You know, like obviously there's early in my career, like, it was more offensive for me, and it was a little bit more like. You know, the minutes were more like about like the offense and producing, and then back from the injury with Claude, it was more about making sure I was taking care of my defensive side, and then eventually I kind of like brought the two together, and I think over time it built my game, and kudos to Claude for making me a better defensive player, and really working on that side even more, and yeah, I think as you said, I think you just evolve and you just find ways to try to push yourself to be better. I always thought that, you know, there was always better players than me, and I think it always motivated me to be better myself.
And lastly, I mean, Razor said, hey, if you get a chance to talk to Patrice, ask him what he's going to do. You know, once he spends time with his family, what is he going to do? Is he going to end up back in hockey or what? So, but that's not the question I'm going to ask you. In talking to players when trying to make that decision, guys that have retired, the other one theme I got from talking to these guys was that eventually there's a void right in the middle of your gut emotionally, because you don't have what you've had for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Despite what you have at home and how awesome a family man you are, husband, father, etc. Are you anticipating that? Have you prepared for that? Have you even thought about it?
No, I know that it's going to happen for a fact, because I've spoken to a lot of guys, and they've all kind of mentioned that and said, it's, you know, you'll see, like it's going to happen, which, you know what, like you're never really prepared for it, but at the same time I'm going to have to welcome it and find ways for myself to, whether it's to challenge myself with different activities or things, you know, in my life, and but it is a new chapter for myself. I'm going to take the time now to unwind and relax and spend time at home and be hopefully a better father and husband, and everything's going to fall in place. I really truly believe that things always happen for a reason, and I'm going to let life kind of guide me towards my next adventure.